Medicare. We can all agree that Medicare is way too confusing, except for Ari here from Chapter. He said it's not that complicated. Might not be that complicated for you, but pretty much everybody else out there has a hard time with Medicare. There's enrollment periods and prior authorizations and penalties if you don't enroll, and there's A, B, C, D guaranteed issue. So we're going to go through as much of that as we possibly can today. This is also a live Q&A. So if you have any questions, looks like we already got a bunch of questions. So Ari, how you doing today?
Dr. Ed, there are less than 80 hours until the end of the annual enrollment period.
Until the end, yes. I was singing for Ari a little Door song about the end, and I'm not going to, I'm not going to put you all through that. Me trying to do karaoke. All right. So we've got the annual enrollment period from October 15th to December 7th, and December 7th is upon us. I always wondered why, being a kind of a historian myself, not sure why they did it December 7th, the date that will live in infamy, but you're fine. You and your team are finally going to have a little bit of a rest after this crazy AEP, right?
That's right. I am December 8th. I am on vacation for a week, and I'm going to just catch up on all the sleep. Yes.
All right. Good deal. Okay, let's get into some questions here. We've got, let's see, someone that is in Georgia. Let me see if I can find this for her. I'm located in the state of Georgia. I'm on SSDI. Must I be 65 in order to obtain a supplemental Plan G?
So the team was actually researching this for one of your viewers, Dr. Ed, and the answer is no. You can obtain Medicare Supplement Plan G younger than 65 in the state of Georgia. The only thing is it costs a whole lot of money. It's very expensive. We're talking nearly $400 a month for Plan G if you're younger than 65. Now, the good news is that when you turn 65, that is your golden opportunity to get a Medicare supplement plan without any questions about your health history. A carrier is not allowed to ask questions about any pre-existing conditions. They have to accept you, and they must offer you the same price as anyone else. They're not allowed to price discriminate against you. So be on the lookout for that golden opportunity to sign up for Plan G when you turn 65. Until then, what Dr. Ed and I recommend, and we've talked about this on many of our lives. I also write about it in my short book on Medicare. It's not that complicated. It's Medicare Advantage could be the answer for you until you turn 65. And we've seen that with a number of clients who are on Social Security, who are on cash disability, but younger than 65 and looking to bridge the gap until they can get their Medicare Supplement Plan G.
Yeah, so the Medicare supplement plans are standardized federally by the federal government. So a Plan G is a Plan G is a Plan G, a Plan N is a Plan N is a Plan N. Once you turn 65, federally, they can't ask you medical pre-existing conditions. But before that, I guess the states determine, because in some states, you can get a Medicare supplement plan before the age of 65, and they can't deny you, they can't charge you more than anybody else. But most states, they either, no, we're not going to give you one, or sure, we'll offer you one, but you have to pay, a lot of money for it. So that's another way to kind of keep you out of it until you reach 65, right?
Exactly. And the reason, there are many reasons, but the sweet and simple is you probably want to consider an Advantage plan until you turn 65, and then don't miss your golden opportunity to get a Medicare Supplement Plan G or Plan N, which Dr. Ed and I have talked about extensively, when you turn 65. And so just be aware that you're going to have an opportunity to purchase Medicare Supplement when you turn 65. It's called your initial enrollment period too.
Perfect. Yeah, and for those on disability, I've done a few hundreds of disability videos, and there's certain things, certain times of your life you really need to check out when you turn 60, 62, 65, and then when you turn your full retirement age. We lost Ari there. Hopefully, there he is.
Oh,
he's back.
I was just turning off my phone.
Okay, all right. Molly at Chapter was absolutely knowledgeable, professional, and patient. She went over everything in detail, and I could not have done a better myself. Wonderful experience. Thank you for sharing so much. All right, thanks for Molly at Chapter.
Awesome. I love seeing, I mean, and check out our reviews at askchapter.org/reviews. There you'll see nearly 5,000 five-star reviews. That's where I start my day, because that shows how our team is helping one Dr. Ed viewer after another.
Yeah, we've gotten phenomenal reviews from Chapter. The only issue is just, with everybody, all of the changes, the close to about 1 million people that are going to be losing their Medicare Advantage plans and have to switch, and it just there's just not enough people. And if y'all hire 10 times more people, what happens on December 8th with those, extra 800 people? Yeah, you don't want, I'm sure you don't want to treat anybody, including your own employees, hire them for 53 days and then let them go because you don't need them for the other 310 days or something. Yeah, so it's a tough situation. But people that have had difficulty getting in, I tell them to email me directly, and I forward that on to Ari, and Ari has been reaching out to people personally and helping them out. So I appreciate it. Let's see. Okay, so the all of the people that are going to be losing their Medicare Advantage plan, particularly the PPOs, there's at the very, very least, 6, 7, 800,000 people got the letter during the annual notice of change that they're leaving, they're quitting. The Medicare Advantage plan is canceling December 31st.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of people, because you get so much junk mail that looks like official Medicare, and I know a lot of people didn't read that. And then when they go into the doctor January, do those people that lost their plan, is the December deadline for them, or do they have a little bit of longer deadline if they lost their plan?
They have a longer deadline. So if your plan is ending, if your plan is being terminated, then you have a guaranteed issue right in order to obtain a Medicare supplement plan. And you should have received, it's at least 3 pages long. And I've seen a lot of letters that are 6 to 7 pages long. And it explains that you are entitled to a guaranteed issue right for Medicare supplement under federal law. And hang on to that letter, because it opens the universe of options to you. Option 1 is to choose a Medicare supplement plan, and then you would need a standalone prescription drug plan. Option 2 is Medicare Advantage. So if you do want to stay in the Medicare Advantage universe, then I would advise choosing a plan by the December 7th deadline. But instead, if you want to go Medicare supplement, guess what? You can do that December 8th, 9th, 10th, you name it.
Perfect. And what about, okay, so they have a little bit longer deadline. So the December 7th is, they've got a little bit of wiggle room. So after December 7th, give you all a call, and you'll be able to find them a new one for next year. Probably the sooner the better if they want their new plan to begin January 1st, right?
That's right. We want to sync up the coverage for the reason you mentioned, because if your Medicare Advantage plan is terminating, what are you going to do in January when you go to the doctor? Well, you'll be back on original Medicare. You'll owe 20% of that doctor visit. If something happens to you, you'll owe the Part A deductible for a hospitalization, and you also won't have prescription coverage. So that's what we want to insure against.
Perfect. Okay, and what about deadlines? We'll get into some deadlines for Part A and Part B and all that. But what about with the one big beautiful bill? It looks like they're going to cut back about $1 trillion. So a lot of good people are going to lose their Medicaid. So if they have the ability, if they're on Medicaid and Medicare, and they also have a Medicare Advantage plan, someone in the comments today said, Ed, I thought you said if you have Medicare and Medicaid, you can't get a Medicare Advantage plan. And I think they just they probably misunderstood. You cannot get a Medicare supplement plan if you have Medicaid, right?
It depends on what level of Medicaid you have. If you're cost share protected, then yes, you cannot get a Medicare supplement plan. But if you're not cost share protected, then you might be able to. The question then would be whether you can afford a Medicare supplement plan, because there are premiums for Medicare supplement. Now, if you go to the doctor a lot, or if you're on dialysis, for example, it'll be well worth it, and you would be excited to pay that premium for the Medicare supplement, as long as it doesn't prevent you from putting food on the table.
Okay. But Medicare Advantage, you can definitely get a Medicare Advantage. Those are the, if you're in the upper levels, you can get one of those dual plans, dual Medicare Advantage, dual Advantage plans. But for those people that lose their Medicaid or are downgraded from the higher levels of Medicaid, you know, the QMB, SlimB, QI, the ones that pay for the Part B premium. So those people lose their dual eligibility. How long do they have to, because they're going to lose, if they lose their dual eligibility, they've also lost their Medicare Advantage dual eligible plan. How long normally do they have to switch to another regular Medicare Advantage plan?
Well, it depends on when their Medicaid is ending. What I've seen is that many people have their Medicaid ending at the end of the year, December 31st, which means that you need to choose a standard Medicare Advantage plan. And I would recommend adhering to the December 7th deadline in order to do so. Or, and I would apply for Part D extra help unless you've already been re-upped for next year, because Part D extra help will assist with the cost of your prescriptions. And so I would use a multi-pronged attack plan in order to make sure that you're getting the most from your Medicare, and that you're prepared for when the government begins to deduct $202.90 from your Social Security beginning in January.
Okay, so it looks like Dan Fellows. I think we just answered your question. I didn't see your question, but I think we answered anyway. Go figure. Hope you see this message. Want to confirm an answer. I am about to get thrown off Medicaid and need to know how long I have to get on Medigap. So yeah, I think we addressed that. And then on Medigap, there's the premium. So if it's within your budget,
yeah, but I read this question a little differently though, because
getting kicked off Medicaid doesn't give you a guaranteed issue, right?
Right. So this is a different situation. If your Medicare Advantage plan is ending, then you have a guaranteed issue right to choose a Medicare supplement plan. If your Medicaid is ending, then we should explore your options. It's possible that you may want to consider a Medicare supplement plan. Here's my hesitation saying that though. You have to prepare to pay the Part B premium, which is true regardless of whether you choose Medicare supplement or Medicare Advantage. Either way, you're going to owe $202.90 per month starting in January. The Part B premium is going up from $185 to $202.90 beginning in January, and that'll be deducted from your Social Security. And so then the next question is, what are you going to do to insure against your hospital, medical, and prescription costs? And from there, you have two options. Cliffhanger.
Yes. All right. So let's see here. There's something else. And another thing is you're being thrown off Medicaid. With everything, we'll talk about this with fighting back against the system. There's going to be a lot of people being kicked off of Medicaid going forward, even though they're 100% eligible for Medicaid. What's going to happen? I know this. I worked for Social Security for a few decades. Before I worked for Social Security, I worked for the Department of Social Services doing Medicaid and food stamps and all that. And just like every organization in the world, they make mistakes. And when you don't have the staff at those offices, Social Security, Medicaid, wherever, and they're inundated, and you've got one person with 400 cases that they have to do by the end of the week, mistakes are going to happen. If they they lose your form, if they say, okay, well, you were supposed to sign here as well, you forgot to, check this box. So rather than doing all this stuff, what we're supposed to do, I'm just going to go ahead and deny it and, let's see what happens. And people were going to get those denial letters, whether it's for Medicaid, food stamps, Social Security disability, Social Security survivor benefits, whatever the case may be. And there's unfortunately just a lot of people out there that would just take it laying down. Don't. Dan, if you say, no, I shouldn't be kicked off Medicaid. I looked at my state's requirements and my income and resource. If you just won the lottery and you've just, won $1 billion, number one, have you got your bank and routing number available there, Ari, so we can give it to Dan if he won $1 billion? But if you just won a bunch of money and oh yeah, I'm justified being kicked off of Medicaid. But If nothing has changed and you've been kicked off, I would definitely fight it. You can file a reconsideration at Medicaid and fight that. But if you legitimately kicked off of Medicaid, then there are options to get another plan to get yourself covered. Because if you just have Part A and Part B, yeah, unfortunately there's a lot of gaps there.
I've also seen a lot of people are having their Medicaid level reduced. So would you talk a little bit about that, Dr. Ed?
I'm sorry, about their Medicaid levels reduced?
Yeah, being reduced. So I see them moving from being a qualified beneficiary down to
a
Slim B.
QI or a Slim B or whatever the case may be. Yeah, it really depends on your income and resources, or if the local Medicaid office, Medi-Cal, Access in Arizona, all kinds of different names. That's one of the reasons there's not so much support for Medicaid to make it stronger and help more people out. Is people say, well, I don't have Medicaid, I have Medi-Cal. I don't have Medicaid, I have Access. Yeah. All of that is Medicaid. Yeah. But yeah, if it depends on the particular state, and some states, they see kind of the writing on the wall in terms of the one big beautiful bill, and they say, okay, this doesn't take place for about another year or so. But states are mandated to balance their state budgets. Go figure. And they see the writing on the wall that, okay, next year or about a year and a half from now, we're going to get $100 million, $100 billion left, whatever the case may be, less than we did last year. So what do we need to start doing? We need to start cutting stuff. We need to reduce, how much doctors get paid, how much hospitals get paid, how much dental we're providing, how much this we're providing. And so we need to watch out for these trends if they do actually occur. But if you read the newspapers like I do throughout the country, and you see states starting to think about these options to kind of reduce their Medicaid, or they're going to raise taxes in your particular state to cover it. So there's going to be a lot of craziness that is going to happen. So one of those ways is for them, okay, we've got this individual that's at the highest level, QMB plus or whatever, and the cost sharing. So this person doesn't have to pay anything to go to a doctor or prescriptions because they're way below the poverty level. They might say, okay, well, they're way below the poverty level, but not way below the poverty level. So we should be able to get some blood out of this turnip. And so they downgrade a little bit. And so you have more costs. And then if they downgrade you outside of the dual, then out of the Medicare savings program, then they will also stop paying for your Part B premium. And that's going to cost you another $202.90. And the problem with that is it makes no sense of them cutting you off of that part of it, the Medicare savings program, because the federal government actually pays that. The states don't pay the Medicare savings program, the $202.90. So I'm not sure why states are going to want to cut it. I think it's for those, it's because there's other costs the states have, and they're trying to cut them off from those other costs. And the collateral damage is, okay, the person also has to pay the $202.90 going forward. So we need to keep an eye on that. And that's one of the reasons we've got, we built this new website, 24help.org, because all the states are a little bit different. So you can go in there, it's a discussion group, and go in there and help each other out. And let's make sure people are protected, particularly the most vulnerable out there.
There's so much help going on in the comments right now. It's unbelievable to see the engagement and the way that people are jumping in and answering some viewers' questions about whether they need to reapply for their Medicare. The answer is you don't. If your coverage is continuing for next year, and you should have received a letter in September describing how your coverage will change for next year, unless you're on Medigap, right? Medigap, it's guaranteed renewable. You just keep paying your premium. Then there's nothing you need to do as long as you want that coverage to continue. It will roll over.
As long as you make sure you're in the right plan, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Let's see. Can I change to a supplement plan when I reach FMA? Probably what he means is he or she, the full retirement age. So that's different. Full retirement age for Social Security is 66 and 8 months or 67 or whatever the case may be.